Data warehousing the easy way with DWiz. This quick tip, designing fact tables. Fact tables are warehouse tables that form the hubs in your star-schema warehouse. The data is drawn from one flat table. It is most efficient to perform the detailed design of your fact tables after designing the associated dimensions, because the dimension keys will be included in your fact table. Now we view the flat tables in our staging DB and select the one that most closely matches what we want to see in our new fact table, such as this one, Flat Invoice. We right-click Flat Invoice and select Copy Table from the drop-down. From the pop-up, we select our DataMart DB as the database name, because all fact tables always reside in the DataMart DB. The database schema location is usually DBO for most projects. The table type is fact. The table name defaults to fact prepended to the original source table name, in this case resulting in fact invoice, but you can change it to whatever you like. After pressing the OK button, it brings up the fact table definition page. You will recognize the first line that echoes the parameters from the previous pop-up: database, schema, table type, table name. With this page, we are designing the fact table schema, but we are not copying any data yet. When the ETL group is compiled or recompiled and run, then the data will be copied and processed. The remainder of the page defines the columns of the new fact table, defaulting to match the columns of the new flat table. Since the goal of the flat table is to prepare data for the fact table or other warehouse tables, most of the columns used by the new fact table should match columns of the flat table very closely or exactly. DWiz will automatically and quietly create a new surrogate primary key for the new fact table, in this case, fact invoice ID. This fact invoice ID will be an identity integer column. You may delete any other columns that you are certain you won't need for your warehouse. In my case, I will delete the columns customer ID, sales team ID, invoice status ID, payment status ID, invoice number, and delivery instruction, because they are not additive facts and don't belong in my fact table. You can change column names and/or data types as desired. You can add columns of any type. You may direct the ETL process to replace nulls in any column with a default value. Please uncheck the Allow Nulls box when using a default value. This page does not specify where the data actually comes from. In a future step, when you use DWiz to design the fact procedure, you will specify where the data comes from and how it is processed. Now we need to add the primary key for each dimension table that we plan to link to this fact table. For my example, I plan to link two dimension tables, dim customer and dim invoice. So I will add two columns destined to become foreign keys that will point to the surrogate primary keys of the dim tables. Now that we've completed the page, we can save it with the floppy disk save icon. Note that DWiz has created the surrogate primary key, fact invoice ID. Saving this definition page creates the table, but again, the table will be empty until the compiled ETL group is run. If we close this page and want to come back to edit it later, we can find it through the DataMart DB in the Fact Tables folder. If the table's not needed in the future, we can delete it with the red X delete icon. And that's all it takes to create a fact table schema. Next, you'll want to use DWiz to design a fact procedure, which will load data from the flat table and use it to fill your fact table.